Hello friends, welcome back to Engineering Today, and we're back with some latest updates for you. Let's begin our news with SpaceX updates as SN11 steps ahead toward launch. SpaceX's Starship prototype, serial number 11, SN11, has made its way through two of the three major tests, standing between it and liftoff. On the 8th of March, SpaceX rolled out Starship SN11 from the factory to the launch pad. Landing in one piece of the SN10 prototype has gathered enough confidence for SpaceX teams to rush through preparations for the upcoming flight test. In past records of Starships, SpaceX has never carried out a static fire of Starship prototype less than 12 days after its launch site arrival. Then static fire tomorrow or day after would easily have broken the previous record by a lot. But now it seems that SN11 will need a day or two to be ready for a static fire attempt within the 15th of March 2021. On the 11th of March, Starship SN11 completed the first step. They've completed the cryo-proof test of SN11. The Starship prototype was loaded with liquid nitrogen, a cryogenic fluid which has the same density and temperature with that of liquid oxygen and methane, which Starships use as fuel. Liquid nitrogen is used to evade any disaster during cryo-proof testing. The cryo-proof test was a test of Starship SN11's Attitude Control System, ACS. It involves firing of each of the several cold gas nitrogen thrusters present in the Starship vehicle for nearly 5 to 10 times for a total of several dozens of bursts. A static fire attempt of SN11 was planned on the 12th of March. Mary of Boca Chica Gale tweeted on the 12th of March, "I've received an alert notice and a road closure has been scheduled for Friday, March 12th from 7 a.m. to noon. Possible static fire attempt of Starship SN11's 3 Raptor engines as early as tomorrow at NASASPACEFLIGHT." But there's no movement from SpaceX. So it seems that static fire attempts will be carried out either tomorrow or by the 15th of March. The present Starship prototypes mainly used nitrogen thrusters to extend their flaps and carry out flip maneuvers, belly flop, during suborbital launch and landing attempts. The orbital-class Starship prototypes will use this thruster system to control the direction of flaps in the vacuum of space outside Earth. Starship SN11 is undeniably on a faster track than any of its 3-engine predecessors, and a clean static fire by the 15th of March would leave a launch in the upcoming 7 days. Let's move to our second news regarding SpaceX with their latest Starlink launch announced for launching Starlink service in New Zealand and Germany. On the 11th of March 2021, Thursday, SpaceX successfully carried out the latest Starlink launch aboard a Falcon 9 rocket. This constitutes the second launch of this month. At 3:13 a.m. Eastern Time, the rocket lifted off with its satellite payload from the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. This launch of Starlink version 1.0 L20 mission has increased the number of satellites in the SpaceX Starlink constellation around 1,200 satellites. After the Federal Communications Commission has granted SpaceX's request to lower the constellation's planned orbits and expand their orbital distribution, SpaceX has set a new goal of deploying nearly 1,584 satellites. To complete this goal, 7 successful Starlink missions need to be carried out. With the commencement of the Starlink mission of the 11th of March, SpaceX is close to the previous target of launch of 1,440 satellites for Phase 1. They have to launch nearly 5 more missions to achieve that target. SpaceX has recently announced that they've started rolling out Starlink network service both in New Zealand and Germany. In the launch webcast of the Starlink mission, SpaceX has said they're expanding Starlink availability throughout the northern and southernmost parts of the United Kingdom, in Scotland, in Wales, and also in Ireland. Previously, this service was only confined to southern England. Connectivity all around the world will largely rely on the structure of the SpaceX Starlink satellite constellation. SpaceX said that Starlink will continue expansion in near-global coverage of the populated world in 2021. This goal will be to achieve in near future. SpaceX is very fast increasing and adding up more satellites to its on-orbit Starlink constellation. SpaceX is on the verge of launching 4 Starlink missions per month. SpaceX is planned to launch 2 more Starlink missions in the month of March. The upcoming Starlink mission, L21, is scheduled to launch on the 13th of March, and a mission further, Starlink L-22, is yet to be scheduled but is planned to launch in the end of March. Let's move on to our next news based on Blue Origin and NASA. On the 9th of March 2021, NASA said that they're favoring developments in New Shepard, a suborbital vehicle of Blue Origin, to allow it to simulate lunar gravity on its suborbital flights. In the New Shepard vehicle, the crew capsule fixed atop will use reaction control thrusters to spin at a speed of 11 revolutions per minute, turning it into a centrifuge that can simulate lunar gravity for nearly 2 minutes or more. NASA has signed an agreement with Blue Origin to use their New Shepard vehicle for flights in which the reduced gravity of the Moon will be simulated. Christopher Baker, program executive of NASA's Flight Opportunities Technology Demonstration Program, said, "One of the constant challenges with living and working in space is reduced gravity. A wide range of tools we need for the Moon and Mars could benefit from testing in partial gravity, including technologies for in-situ resource utilization, regolith mining, and environmental control and life support systems." NASA performs high-tech testing in microgravity on the International Space Station, ISS, and also on suborbital vehicles and aircraft flying parabolic trajectories. Conducting such tests in reduced gravity is more difficult to perform. Blue Origin has previously said about using New Shepard for reduced gravity flights, specifically simulating lunar gravity. In late 2020, Erica Wagner, director of payloads at Blue Origin, said that the company was studying options for lunar gravity flights. One of the service providers for NASA's Flight Opportunities program is Blue Origin, who serves NASA with their suborbital vehicles, parabolic aircraft flights, and high-altitude balloons. These flights are carried out to demonstrate new space or other technologies at high altitudes or in reduced gravity. NASA announced that in the end of 2022, the first lunar gravity New Shepard will commence. NASA also said that they've enabled such flights through development funding and early purchase of payload space by them as part of its strategic investment in the U.S. spaceflight industry. Claire Skelly, a NASA representative, said that NASA has purchased about half of the payload space on a lunar gravity flight and also supported development of the capability as part of a contract worth $2.69 million. Let's move to our last news for today. It's regarding Northrop's MEV-2 satellite servicer. Mission Extension Vehicle 2, MEV-2, of Northrop Grumman is now carrying out technical operations with Intelsat's TEN-2 spacecraft, which has been active in geosynchronous orbit since 2004 and is carrying communications traffic, operating in the orbit. A Mission Extension Vehicle, MEV, is a type of spacecraft designed to extend the functional lifetime of another spacecraft. MEV is designed to dock to geostationary satellites whose fuel is nearly depleted. Once connected to the client satellite, MEV uses its own thrusters and fuel supply to extend the satellite's lifetime. When the customer no longer needs MEV's service, the MEV will undock from its operating client satellite and move to the satellite of any other customer. A representative of Northrop Grumman said that both the MEV-2 and Intelsat spacecraft are working in good condition after close proximity repair and maintenance operations. After MEV-2 got off from Intelsat spacecraft, calibration and testing of systems were carried out to ensure the health of the spacecraft. Before MEV-2, MEV-1 was made. MEV-2 follows the same design pattern of MEV-1. MEV-1 was made for bringing back into life Intelsat 901, which was no longer functioning, but MEV-2 has been made and sent to extend the lifetime of operating Intelsat 1002. MEV-1 carried out several maneuvers and approaches before successfully attaching to Intelsat 901 in 2020. The Intelsat 901 spacecraft resumed its services from the 2nd of April. Unlike MEV-1, MEV-2 is not shifting the client satellite to a different orbit. Rather, it will work as a new engine and fuel tank to extend the spacecraft's life. Hussein Bokhari, an analyst of Northern Sky Research (NSR), said that he expects to service more than 230 in-orbit satellites in the upcoming 10 years. MEV vehicles will also meet demands of governments and militaries both in GEO (geostationary) and non-GEO. In the upcoming missions to come, the vehicle will commence repair services, maintenance, and relocation. According to a Northern Sky Research forecast, demand for GEO life extension missions will open up a market opportunity of $3.2 billion. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more videos like this. Hit the like button if you find the video interesting, and kindly provide your valuable feedback in the comment section. This will help us to improve.